Hey y'all, so in the last video, we talked about unexpected costs in our business. And I actually still had quite a few things that I wanted to talk about, not necessarily about the cost, but just some other business situations, the mindset shift that we have to make. How do we get started without going broke, And what are some of the things that people forget or they skip that ends up costing them later? And so I decided to go ahead and make a part two of this video. All right, so I started, excuse me. I started talking about this in the last video, but there's a mindset shift that we have to make regarding this. And so I believe I mentioned that we need to start treating our business like it's a business from day one, not a hobby, right? That's important. But also, we need to understand that there's a difference between spending money and investing in our business. And so I fell into this trap, and I know other people fall into this trap too, because I have been to their studios and I have seen it with my own two eyes. But when we're first getting started, we should establish like this is how much money I have to spend on supplies and materials and things of that nature. We can't just go out and just spend on everything. We have to be very clear about this is how much money we are investing in our business. Um, at the end of 2025, I actually was applying for some business grants, and one of the questions that came up asked me how much capital I had invested into my business from the start. I could not answer that question because I didn't have my finances in order from the beginning. And so knowing that clear number of how much you actually have put into your business from the beginning is actually important and could actually help you and benefit you down the line later. So just go ahead and just be very clear on that. So again, don't just buy willy-nilly. Identify what you need, set a budget, invest that much into your business, and be clear on what you invest moving forward from there. And then the third mindset shift that I think is really, really important is that cheap is not always the best move. So I see this on Etsy a lot. So there will be one shop where maybe they set the price at $15. And so then somebody else comes in and they're like, I'm gonna sell this product, but they'll sell it for 14.47. I made that number up, y'all. But so and then maybe they sell a little bit more because there's a mental like, oh well, I can save a little money if I get this one. Well, the person that's selling it for 15, if they see it and they're like, oh no, we're gonna sell it for 13.99. Then they come in and then they're like, no, we're gonna sell it for 12.99. What you're doing is you're creating what we call a race to the bottom. So both of y'all are just gonna keep reducing your prices until you get to that point where you are no longer even breaking even and potentially even losing money. And that's not fun for anybody, okay? And a lot of times when it comes to psychology, a lot of times people will correlate the price that they see with the quality of the item. And so if it's cheap, it must be made with cheap materials. It must be made with cheap supplies. And so it's important, and with that respect, to price accordingly, right? Price based on the value of your product and the value of your time and your overhead and the profit that you want to make and all of that stuff. So price accordingly. And if you're considering perception of value, you might tweak your price up or tweak your price down a little bit, and that's totally okay. But being the cheapest price in the market is not always the move. Being the most expensive is not always the move. So price smart. And I would say price yourself somewhere in the middle, right? Again, this is just my opinion from my experiences. So now, if I was to offer some tips on how to start without going broke, here are some things that I would say. Before you go out and purchase anything, look around and start with what you already have. If you can create what's called a minimum viable product from the things that you already have, then it's possible you could post that and say, hey, look, I'm selling these things, and possibly even get orders. You can get advanced orders on that product. And once you get those advanced orders, then you get that money and you can use that money to actually purchase your supplies and your inventory. But start with what you have, okay? Before you invest, make sure you test. You don't need to have a ton of products, y'all. You could have one product to start your business. I'm serious. Your business could be one product. Okay. So choose a product, choose a platform, and choose a customer. What do I mean by that? So at one point I was selling on Etsy, Zazzle, um, Custom Cat, Printify, my website, in person, Amazon, and oh, what is that? Subscription box platform. And a subscription box platform that I can't think of the name of right now. But if I think about it, I'll add it like right here or something. Um, but that was over eight different platforms. So trying to keep up with all eight of those platforms was absolutely a nightmare. Absolutely a nightmare. And so my suggestion to you would be choose one platform and like, okay, if it's Etsy, I'm gonna sell on Etsy. I'm just gonna focus on my Etsy. I'm selling this one product. And when I say customer, I really mean, sit down and think about who are the people that will use your product. A lot of times people will create what they call an avatar. So for me, my avatar is Hobby Heather. Heather loves crafting and she's been thinking about the idea of starting a business, but hasn't really made that commitment yet. So she's not a beginner crafter, but she would be totally a beginner when it comes to the business side of things. I can tell you if we sat down and talked about Heather, I could tell you the type of job she works in, if she has any children, the type of place, the type of house that she lives in, where she shops. So sitting down and thinking about all of the demographics and the things that make up the person that is most likely to use your product. That's what I mean when I say one customer. Talking to that one customer instead of trying to talk to everybody will really narrow in. And when it comes to things like your social media, it'll help the algorithm really hone in on who to show your content to, so that hopefully your business can grow just a little bit quicker because of that niche down nature of it, okay? And then benefit from all the free tools that are out there. There is no reason that you have to spend hundreds of dollars on all of these tools. Yes, 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 everyone. I know all the coaches say invest, 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 and I don't disagree in investing. I spent quite a bit of money investing in myself. But when you're first getting started, if the free tools are working for you, just use them. And when you're ready to level up to one of the paid versions, do so. And if you find that the free version works absolutely okay, then you're fine. So I use a scheduling app called Metricool because it has some features that I really, really like. And that's definitely another video if you wanted to hear more about Metricool. But they have a free version that will post 20 posts a month for me. And what I use it for, that is sufficient. And so I don't need to pay for it. And I've been using their free version for 2 years now. If my needs change, I love this platform so much that I probably I would use the paid version of it, but I'm just not at that, I'm not at that point yet. Now let's talk about what people skip that I feel like comes back to them later. And y'all, the number one, I already mentioned this, but I'm mentioning it again, those finances. Please track your finances from day one. Know how much money that you've invested into the business. Keep your personal separate from your business money, okay? So when business money comes in, if you can't get a business account for whatever reasons, at least get another savings account or another checking account personally, and then you make the conscious effort to make sure that what's in there is only used for your business. Okay. When you're pricing, make sure that you're pricing for profit and not just to cover the materials. So if you're like, this is the materials cost, this is my labor, and so then this is my price. Nope. Add in a profit margin. Okay. Now there's something that we, especially as small handmade business owners, can't do, and that is really complete. We cannot compete with these big box stores who buy things really, really cheaply overseas, and then they mark them at very low profit margins because their goal is to sell quantity over quality. We can't do that. Like sometimes I walk into one of those big box stores, and I'm like, how are you only charging this price for this? Like, I can't compete with this. Like, oh my goodness. And so we can't compete on price with those stores. What we can do is we can compete on quality. So I know that if I make a bracelet, it's going to be way better quality than the bracelet that I buy from one of those stores. That's just facts. That's just facts. Like, I'm going to be more careful about curating the look of the bracelet. I'm going to be more careful about putting on the clasp because I'm not doing it as a assembly line and just knocking out a whole bunch of them. I'm going to be super careful about it. So I have to sell the quality of the handmade item versus the cheap price. All right. And then I wanted to mention, start building your audience now. So even if you're like, I'm not sure if I want to sell these items in the future, go ahead and start posting the things that you make for hobby on your social media page. Like, start posting that stuff because people are going to start to like it, people are going to see it, and then you're going to start to build your audience so that when you do make that decision, when and if you make the decision that you want to start selling things, you already have people who've been following you, people who know the quality of your work. They know that you make the things, and so you've already started to build your audience. That's it for this video. Hoping that you found something of value in this video. If anything resonated with you, please leave me a comment. Let's talk about it. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things. Click the notification bell. I'll see you next time. And until then, stay crafty.